Forget it. Keep it. Because obviously, everyone with half a brain knows that Ravel makes shoes. It was a trick question, and you fell for it like a ton of bricks. Shoes? Rodney blinked. Maurice Ravel was a French composer. Dell. I don't care if he was a French baker, Dell shouted, finally snapping. He didn't write the bloody opera, did he? Segovia did. I lost 50 grand. For the rest of my life, getting that question wrong in front of my family, my friends, and the entire British nation is going to be the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. He glared at Rodney's leather outfit, although coming home to find my managing director dressed as an extra from a Sword Dance Sandals epic is a close second. The telephone rang. It was a harsh, jarring sound that made them all jump. Nobody moved to answer it. They were paralyzed by the sheer exhaustion of the day's events. Hello, Cassandra finally answered, picking up the receiver. Yes, he's here. Can I ask who's calling, please? She covered the mouthpiece, her eyes widening. Dell, it's the producer of Gold Rush. A man named Bill. He wants to talk to you. Dell groaned, burying his face in his hands. Oh, my God. What's he want? I bet it's about that podium I kicked over. I bet they're going to sue me for criminal damage now, haven't they? It's just the icing on the cake. He reluctantly took the phone. All right. I'll speak to him. Hello. Yes, this is Derek Trotter. Send me the bill for the plastic. I'll pay it in installments. He listened. The color slowly drained from his face, and then, miraculously, began to rush back in. His eyes widened. His jaw went slack. What? No. Dell stammered. He said there's been a mistake. Rodney sat up straight, the leather straps of his armor creaking loudly. A mistake. And it was Ravel? Dell asked the voice on the phone, his voice trembling with a mixture of shock and dawning joy. He covered the phone and turned to Rodney, a manic grin splitting his face. Rodney, the producer says there was an error in their research department. The question was flawed. You were right. It was Ravel. I knew it, Rodney shouted, leaping up and punching the air with his toy sword. I knew I was right. Dell turned back to the phone, his confidence returning in a tidal wave. Yeah, I'm still here. Bill. Yeah, he said I can take the 50,000 pounds as an apology and go back on the show next week to play for the 100 grand. Yes. Dell did a little jig in the middle of the living room. Raquel gasped, clapping her hands over her mouth. They were saved. They were actually saved. But then, the pub jukebox from the Nag's Head echoed loudly through the telephone line. Dell heard the distinct sound of a pool cue hitting a ball, and a muffled, snickering laugh that sounded remarkably like Mickey Pierce. Dell's face hardened. The joy evaporated instantly, replaced by a cold, furious certainty. Oh, have a day off, will you, you lot? Dell sneered into the phone. Dell, "What are you doing?" Rodney asked, confused. "Who do you think this is?" Del said to the phone, his voice dripping with venom. "Hey, look, I can hear the jukebox in the pub in the background. It's bloody Mickey Pierce again, ain't it? Trying to pull another prank on the Sultan of Brunei's right-hand man." "Del, are you sure?" Cassandra asked nervously. "I'm positive," Del shouted, highly offended. "I'm going to move." "No, no, no. Get to the back of the queue. Mickey, you're not having me over twice in 1 week." Del puffed his chest out, a righteous, vengeful anger taking over. "Don't worry about the money, Bill. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what we would like you to do with our winnings. Since you're so generous, give all the £50,000 to charity. Yeah, every single penny of it." Rodney screamed, diving across the sofa to grab the phone. "Del, no." Del easily pushed his skinny brother away, still talking into the receiver. "And if you phone here once again with your stupid pranks, Mickey, I'm going to come down to the Nag's Head and kick your arse into shredded duck. Goodbye." Del slammed the phone down with a triumphant thud. "See, that's how you deal with pranksters. Show 'em you don't care." The room was completely, utterly silent. The air was thick with a new, terrifying kind of tension. "Del," Rodney whimpered, pointing a trembling finger at the television screen in the corner. They had left the TV on, muted, tuned to the 24-hour news channel. Breaking news text was scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Breaking: BBC apologizes for game show error. Gold Rush producers confirm contestant Derek Trotter was incorrectly penalized. MR: Trotter has been contacted and has nobly donated his £50,000 winnings to charity. Del stared at the screen. The letters seemed to burn into his retinas. "Jonathan," Del whispered to the empty room. "He said give the $50,000 to charity. What a nice guy." Rodney fell to his knees, his gladiator helmet rolling across the cheap carpet. Raquel simply turned around and walked back into the bedroom, quietly closing the door. "Yes," Del suddenly shouted, clapping his hands together in a desperate, horrifying display of broken psychology. He refused to accept the reality of what he had just done. He turned to Rodney with a wild, crazed grin. "Who do you people think we are, eh? We're the Trotters. And we're back. Yes, £50,000 to charity. What a tax write-off. This time next year, Rodney, we'll be millionaires." Rodney just sobbed quietly into the carpet, the plastic sword clutched in his hands, knowing that for Trotter's independent traders, the game was finally, truly over. Chapter 9: The Reluctant Philanthropist. The morning sun hit the concrete walls of Nelson Mandela House with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Inside flat 368, the air was thick with the distinct smell of burnt toast and profound regret. Del Boy stood by the window in his tiger print dressing gown, staring out at the Peckham skyline, He was